Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yetunde, aka YBA, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you some of the things that I can classify as culture shocks that happened to me when I moved here to Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire. So stick around, don't go anywhere. Now, if you're seeing moi for the first time, I am a Nigerian who used to live in Lagos and has just recently moved to Abidjan here in Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire is just like 3 countries down from Nigeria, so you know, it feels very, very close to home. However, you would think everything would just like be plug and play. For one, it is not. I had made a video the other day about my first impressions about Abidjan, and I got, you know, some really good comments in my DM and Instagram. I got a bunch of questions about, oh, what are the things you love about the country? Some people were sharing some culture shocks with me, and I said, you know what, let me just make this video. I'm going to talk about some of the culture shocks that I experienced, and I'm also going to talk about, you know, things I love about Ivory Coast. Now, let me tell you the first thing that I will classify as my major culture shock. Here in Ivory Coast, when you go to the supermarkets, to the mall, they do not use nylon bags. Plastic bags, rubber bags. Back home in Lagos, most supermarkets brand their bags, but the bags are nylon. They're made of, you know, plastic. So it's like nylon bag. You have like a whole bunch of them at home. When you get home, they use it to pack all your stuff in categories. Here, the first time I went to the supermarket, I didn't know that they didn't used to give you bags. What they do give you, they're like sack-like bags. They're like 2 types. There's a sack one if it's really big. If you're Nigerian, you know bako bag. It has like a cloth handle. I'm also gonna put a picture here just so you understand what I'm saying. And these bags are sold to you. And so when I went to the supermarket, when I finished, the lady asked me, and as you know, my French was horrible. I couldn't even speak a lick of French when I came here the first time. And the lady at the counter said, you know, something about sack. I'm looking at her. By the way, sack is bag. I'm looking at her, what sack? What's she talking about? And long story short, our driver who was with me at the time said, oh, she's asking, do you want to pay for a sack? Or did you bring your sack? I'm like, bring my sack? What do you mean? Anyway, I ended up paying for a sack. And I cannot tell you how many times this kept on happening to me, because it took a minute for my brain to register that every time I needed to go to the store, any store at all, once I'm not going even into the market, like the local market, there you'll find the nylon bags. The government has been trying to be more eco-friendly, so they banned the use of these bags in the main superstores. So basically, if you come to Abidjan, if you're going to the supermarket or you're going to the mall, either you carry your own sack or you will have to buy one. There's some shops that will give you, they have this cloth-like one that they'll give it to you for free, but for the most part, if you get that sack one, they'll charge you for it. It's later you see it on your receipt. So now the second culture shock I want to talk about is kisses. Look, nothing prepared me for the amount of kisses I started to get when I got here. And my first introduction to it was one of my husband's friends. Hi, madam, how are you? And he came in. And you know, when he was coming in, I thought he was coming in for a hug. And I'm a hugger, so you know, I wanted to, anyway, this man just comes in and was mwah on one cheek. And my mom like, oh, okay. And next thing, he goes in for the other cheek, mwah. And look, let me tell you, it's not air kisses. It's actual mwah, mwah. Like cheeks would touch, expect kisses. When I went to my first meetup with some expatriates, all the Ivorians that were there, or people who were like from France, kisses, kisses, kisses. So it's kisses is like an acceptable form of greeting. And you know, instead of you know how we would in Nigeria would just shake, hey, what's up, what's up? And you know, no. When they grab your hand, they would come in for the kiss. Mwah, 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 mwah. It took a lot of getting used to, because you know, sometimes I'm like, I'm wearing makeup, I don't want to put my cheek on your cheek and all that. But now that I know it's just the way it is, and I have friends now, so when I meet my friends, we still greet like that. Although I think I've converted a bunch of my friends into huggers. I'm like, hugs are better than kisses. Bring it in, let's hug, let's hug. The third one, I don't think I'll classify it as more of a shock. I think I just didn't think that anyone ate this much with their hands, like more than us. Generally as Africans, we eat with our hands, right? There are a lot of cultures in the world who eat with their hands. But when I tell you, Ivorians have special love for eating with their hands. They would eat anything with their hands. Rice, the local swallow in mussels, anything. I'm talking anything at all. Another thing I found out, if you visit a local Ivorian family, and they have this thing where they do this communal eating. So the food isn't like just in a big main bowl. And if you're invited to join in the eating, everybody would put their hands. So you will join in with your hands and eat. For us in Nigeria, for most of us, what has happened over time is you get your own plate of food. You can get 2 plates of it, maybe your soup and your swallow. And yes, we do eat our swallow meals with our hands. The first time I got the invite, I was like, oh, okay. Because when we were growing up, we used to eat with my dad. My dad would put the food in the big plate. He enjoyed eating with us as kids. So that was where it took me back to, and that's like an intimate form of eating. And now I can do it. It's actually, you get used to it, and it's honestly really, really nice. It's the feeling of community, the feeling of, it's like they trust you. So it's actually something like that is bestowed upon you. Don't take it lightly. If you're invited to join in with your hand, like that's it, come and join us. So feel at home. Basically, that's the meaning of that gesture. I love it though. It's one of the things I love. So that was a bit surprising. I won't call it a shock. It was more like a surprise, cultural surprise. I don't think anything prepared me for the amount of pastries and baked goods that is being consumed in this town. There is a boulangerie or patisserie around every corner. Ivorians love their bread fresh and hot. You see, in Lagos we like agege bread and it's always fresh and hot. But like if you want sliced bread and all of that, it's probably like a day old or something. No, here everybody wants the freshly baked good stuff. And it is not a strange thing. You can be driving or you're going about your business, you see these bikes with sacks, giant sacks of baguettes just going around. The shock there for me was we do not like the same kind of bread. Like here, it was a struggle for me to find white bread. People here just love the baguette, the mini baguettes, like there are different types of baguettes, the French baguettes, the Ivorian baguettes, like there's baguette. There's croissant, the types of croissant I did not know existed. Here, I've seen it here. Like you name it, they have it. So many sweet things being baked. So if you're a foodie, oh my God, you will love it here. For white bread, let me tell you the shock that shocked me. I went to Casino. Casino is a very, very popular brand here. And I'd gone to Casino and I just entered and I just saw this white bread. I'm going to put a picture of that bread here because I couldn't believe my eyes how much this bread cost. Yesterday I bought 2 loaves of this bread. Now this bread is called Harry's. It's apparently imported from France. I got to the payment point. I got a bunch of other stuff I wanted to pay. And then they said, oh, this is how much now. And the first few weeks, I struggled with understanding the money. Sometimes between the hundreds and the thousands, 10,000s. I ended up with a grocery of about, let's say, 50-something K. 50-something thousand zoff. Now I thought she meant like 15,000 zoff. Like it sounded the same. Now when I looked at my receipt when she gave it to me, I saw the actual value. I looked at my bag. I'm like, what did I buy? So I started scanning the receipt. My husband was like, let's go now. I'm like, no babe, this money is not correct. Something has happened. We figured out that, guys, one bread was 9,500 zoff, which if I were to convert, like do your conversion, if I were to convert to Nigerian money, that's about 6K, 65-ish naira on a loaf of bread. I almost died. If not because I did not have the facilities, the language facilities to go back and say I don't want the bread no more in French, I would have returned the bread. And I bought 2, guys. 2, not 1. I couldn't believe it. Now let's talk about greetings. See, in Nigeria, I used to think that, especially Yoruba people, we can greet everybody. If you speak Yoruba, if you're a Yoruba person, we greet a lot. Ekaro, Ekason, Ekale. In Ivory Coast, in Abidjan, what I've discovered is you have to greet everybody. And I am not kidding, it is expected. They would give you the look of, are you not going to greet? So when you walk into somewhere, you have to say, bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur, bonjour mama. Oh, and by the way, it's actually considered rude for you to just say bonjour. You have to add the person's prefix, you know, accordingly. I also just recently found out that the reason the woman in the market keeps giving me a stinky eye is because I will go there and call her bonjour madame. So when you see older Ivorian women, you actually are supposed to call them mama. So you say bonjour mama. So when you say bonjour madame, it's like, oh, are disrespectful. You know, you're calling them like as if they are your mates. Guys, I did not know. It was a fellow Nigerian that told me that, oh yeah, no, you cannot call her madam. She's not a madam. Mommy, auntie, you know. So where I will go to the market and I say, oh, good morning, auntie. Can I have ugu? No. You say, bonjour, mama, you know, and then you tell her what you want. Sometimes the greeting keeps coming, ça va bien, tout va bien, you know, you have to wait and answer. If you're not from a clime, I mean, it was easy for me to really, you know, do the greeting because I'm a Yoruba woman, and even when my mother on the phone, when she calls me, my grandmother, greeting can last like 2 whole minutes. She's still greeting me for 2 minutes. Bele, paoni, shawadada, ilenko, enko. Like I've learned from my other expatriate friends who are like maybe from Asia, from Europe. They are not used to it, and they said for them it was such it was such a big deal. My Kenyan friend said, we don't used to greet like this in Nairobi, and that people would just think she was stuck up, or they would look at her like, oh, this girl is rude. It took her a minute to get into the headspace of, oh, I have to keep saying bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur. But long story short, you gotta greet people. It's the biggest culture shock for me was actually the divide. This is something that makes me so sad. There is a huge divide between the Anglophone community and the Francophone community in, well, let me just talk about West Africa. And it is so, I find it so difficult to understand how we arrived here. Of course, we can blame the colonialists, you know, they divvied us up and now we're here. I mean, Côte d'Ivoire has people from the same tribe as Ghanaians, because you know they share a border. But I have met a bunch of Ghanaians who have told me that, see, the language barrier and then the cross-cultural assimilation that happened between English and, let's say, the Akan, for instance, then the French and the Akan has made them so different. Yes, they can speak the same language, but it's like you're still in a different place. So you can actually communicate with this person, but you know, you don't even have the same orientation. It's almost like there's this wall, and it's so sad, you know. There's so many things we don't know about each other. It's almost like I'm talking to someone from like a continent away. Do you understand? Like we have so many differences and we actually don't know enough about each other because of the language, English-French barrier. The Pan-African in me just really thinks we need to kind of visit each other more, and the French or the English should not be a barrier. Now let me tell you all the things I like about Côte d'Ivoire. First of all, food. Ivorian food is so delicious. Before I moved here, this is the order of my favorite food. Amala. As a Yoruba girl, yes, amala with abula. Favorite food. I can eat amala any day, anytime, as many times as I wanted. Amala is my favorite food before I moved here. After amala was pasta. And then after pasta, I would eat any pasta. I love pasta so much. And then after pasta, you know, comes all the other foods. But let me tell you, my second best food went straight to the top from the day I tasted it the first time is atike. Oh my God, atike is made from cassava. It's some kind of cassava meal. People like to liken it to gari, but I have watched them the process of making it. It's similar. I mean, it's the same fermented cassava and then cooked in different ways, but it's definitely not gari. It will remind you of gari, but for me, it has a couscous texture, but slightly harder. And the great thing about eating atike is you can eat it in so many different ways. You can have it with fresh vegetables. So I'm talking onions, you know, peppers. Then there's the cooking oil that they just, you know, sprinkle on it. There's different types of chili, different types of sauces. And of course, how can I talk about atike and forget aloko? Aloko is just basically dodo for the Nigerians. Fried plantains, it goes so well with it. Now, you can now have your, you know, your protein of choice. There's the turkey, there is chicken or grilled fish. Guys, I can't breathe because I'm talking about atike. I am gushing here. I think I'm gonna go and buy atike when I finish filming this video. I'm here for the food. You should come for the food. Also, there are other things. There's futu, there's plakali, there's like, oh, amazing. Yes, I love Ivory Coast for the food. I also love fabric. Growing up, my mom used to sell fabric, and so when we told my mom that we were moving here, my mom kept on saying, oh, Tobati Debe, Kobamira, Ankara, Cote d'Ivoire. I remember I used to sell it back then. The translation of what I said is, once you get there, help me get some Cote d'Ivoire Ankara. Here, Ankara is everyday wear. TV presenters, any day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, anytime, morning, afternoon, night, they're wearing African print. On the road, people wear it to work, like that is their work attire. There's so much Ankara everywhere, and because of that, you know, you can easily find cheap ones. You can make a head wrap. Now, if you know me, you know me. I love a good Ankara head wrap. I love a good Ankara dress, Ankara top. So Ankara everywhere. Nigeria, we love it for our parties, for our uniform, ashwebi, and you know, sometimes maybe once in a week, like on Friday in certain regions in Nigeria, you can maybe wear it to work in certain places. But here, even I'm talking like to your corporate job, except you maybe you're working in the bank, they are wearing the Ankara everywhere. Yeah, another thing I love about Ivory Coast is they're like different types of cars here. So generally, Ivorians don't like big cars, like large cars, like we do in Lagos. Here, when people just have money, you know, they first of all buy the range. The range is the car. That's your level of car. So another thing is the government had passed a law some years ago. You cannot bring a car of a certain age into Ivory Coast. So because of that, there are a lot of new cars. So you know how sometimes you're on the road, there might be like, you know, a lot of bad emissions. No, the emission is kind of low because most of the cars, they are old cars, don't get me wrong, cars that have already made it into the system before that law was passed. But for the most part, you know, you see people are just buying new cars every day, like popping new cars. And then I've seen interesting cars. Like for instance, I've been looking at one car called the Haval. I understand this car is popular in South Africa also. Ugh, they just come up with a new design. I mean, I can't afford it, let me not lie. Like, where will I get the money? But I just look at it. Every time I see it, like when I go to the mall, there's this mall that there's a car mat behind it. I'm looking at this car like, chai. This car is fine. So, now, other things that I love about Ivory Coast are things that I previously discussed. There's a really good road network here, and the roads are good, and they're usually well maintained. The electricity supply is pretty steady compared to where I'm coming from. The electricity supply is a lot better. I think finally my favorite thing about Ivorians, the laid-back culture. Ivorians, they did not send your papa, like just to put it in the very Nigerian way. Generally, people here are chill. Nobody is trying to outrun, you know, themselves. You know how in Lagos we're always in a rush? I come from that climb, so the first few months was hard for me because everyone just seemed to move slower than I did. Nobody is rushing, nobody is running. As a matter of fact, except for like the bakeries, nobody opens like at crazy hours here. Like you can't, except for the food, like you can't just, you know how Lagos is already like places that open at 6:30, everybody has run out. No, even at the gym, if it's a public holiday, the gym will not open until 10, and they close early here, except for stores that are designated as 24-hour stores. If you don't go by 7, everybody's closed, except it's a pharmacy that is open for 24 hours. 7 o'clock, everybody has gone home. Nobody has your time, and nobody is trying to work on a public holiday, like on Sunday, like after church. Like you see people outside, they just bring chairs outside, they drink their beer, have fun. It's nothing much. And Ivorians love to party. I'm still looking for who will invite me to like an Ivorian Owambe wedding or something. But there's an event center close to my house. So sometimes I hear the music, I hear you can tell that it's a good party vibe. So me, I want to go for an Ivorian party. Who's gonna take me, guys? Somebody should invite me. Ivorians like to enjoy life, but you know, at a really nice, steady pace. And if I don't talk about this, I'll be doing like a huge disservice to the wonderful country that is hosting me and my family. Chocolate. Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Fun fact. Every time you take a bite out of any chocolate product or anything made with cocoa, at least 10% of that product came from Ivory Coast. There are these little the gourmet chocolate making stores, shops, fancy with like the most, I don't know, insane flavors. The other day I had chocolate with Bissap flavor. Bissap is Zobo. And I've never had anything like that before. The flavor was just magnificent. You know, they're trying to do different things with it. It's like they're trying to take over, you know, manufacturing. Although it's starting really gradually, but you can see it happening. And I love it for the country because you know how it is. Most of what happens in most of our countries here in Africa is we grow something or there's a large deposit of it, our natural resources. We end up exporting it to other parts of the world. And then we now have to buy it back expensive to import the finished product here. Imagine an Africa that is able to utilize its own raw materials to also produce world standard products. Like, that is the utopia right there. Anyways, I've come to the end of my video. What are your favorite things about Ivory Coast? If you're one of those my friends that watch this video and you've just recently moved here, what were your biggest culture shocks? Leave me a comment. Now, before I sign out, someone requested for a drive around video, like they wanted me to show them around the city. This is the second time I'm getting this kind of request, so I'm thinking of going out and just taking my camera out. The problem is my camera is a bit bulky. It's not the ideal camera to vlog or anything, so I'm thinking of just doing like a drive along video. Just put my camera and just drive around and show you around the city. If you would like to see that kind of content, please let me know. Till I come back your way, my name is Yetunde and I'll be signing out here. Bye bye.